Good morning. This is Norma Cowie. Once more on a Sunday thought. As always, I often wonder what it is I'm going to have come up for my Sunday thought. And this morning, as I was contemplating it, I happened to pull out a little card, and it said abundance. And I thought, oh, I have lots to say on abundance and how that works. But when I was just sort of getting ready, the final bits and pieces to getting ready, I realized that we often are not flexible. And so today my talk is going to be about flexibility. You see, we get set in how things work. We get set in our rigidity. We get up at a certain time. We eat at a certain time. We go to bed at a certain time. We watch certain shows. We do certain things for our exercise. All of that fits into a pattern. And sometimes when we fit into those patterns, what begins to happen is we get rigid. We begin to lose our natural flexibility. Because what happens when that gets interrupted? Just think of the last couple of years. Here we are running along in a very, natural sense. And next thing we know, we're having to wear masks. We're having to be in lockdowns. We're having to be bombarded with the need to have other things, in our lives. So our rigidity, our awareness of how things are supposed to be got totally dismantled. So how flexible are we? Are we able to adjust to those things? I know with Christmas coming up now, there's a lot of what are we going to do? How do we get together with family? I know that in some places there are still restrictions on how many people you can get together. If you have your pass or not pass, if you have other concepts of where and what area of for us in Canada, provinces you are, we even had one time we weren't allowed to go out of our health district. All of that breaks down and really gets into problems with your schedule, where you get your comfort from, what you do to feel safe and regular, because it's what we're used to. So what happens to that? And really it points out as to how perhaps non-flexible we are, how rigid we get in our ideas. Now, it doesn't mean that we agree or we like or whatever, but it means how do we adjust? Because life has unexpected things come up all the time. I mean, just before all this, people died, people had babies, people got fired from work. Not in the rates they're being laid off or let go or whatever right now, but still, these things happen, and you needed to make adjustments for them. You needed to change your schedule, and I'm going to just pull in that whole thing about abundance for a moment. Very often we have to relook at our finances and look in as to what we feel is important. I think that a lot of that depends on the age that you're at. When I look back and I forgot to talk to myself this morning before I began this. So I wasn't being very flexible. I would usually rigidly talk a bit because my throat thing gets used to talking. So I broke. I'm being flexible and I'm not happy with the result. But anyway, I was thinking back about how when the father of my children and I first started out, we had nothing. And I mean nothing. And we had babies. And I worked and he went to school and worked. And we worked together to create and look at. And then we worked hard enough. In those days, the prices of homes, we were able to find a home, which we were in for many, many years. And we built up a reserve. We went on lots of holidays. We did lots of wonderful things. But we also we were also very rigid in our schedules. We had kids, we had night schools. I went back to night school to complete, first of all, my grade 12, then first 2 years of college. So we did a lot of different things. And so there had to be scheduling. And I'm not saying that it is incorrect not to have scheduling, because that's how I've lived my life, with schedules. And what I'm talking about is how flexible are you when that schedule doesn't work? For some reason, it gets interrupted. We've had mega people this while in our province. First, it was fires. Many people had to leave their homes. Many people lost their homes and everything with it. Then when that got all settled, then we had fires. And again, the same thing happened. I mean, not fires, floods. We had fires and we had floods. Boy, I am discombobulated today. That's called flexibility, by the way. I know some people didn't have the right type of water insurance. And so consequently, they don't even have an insurance that helps them to deal with what water damage they have. So how do you cope? What do? You learn to become more flexible and look at alternatives. Alternatives are there often, but we don't think of looking around to see them. Help sometimes comes in the weirdest places if you just take a breath and look. Now, I've lived a lot of my life based on a lot of faith, knowing that somehow, somewhere, it gets sorted out. And I've always found that it does. And so consequently, one of the things I really would like to talk about within this need to be flexible is to take a look at your faith level. Do you believe that things work out? Or do you believe that it doesn't matter what happens, that's happened and that's it? Do you believe that there is a force that helps you, whatever you call it? People call upon Jesus, call upon Mary, call upon God, call upon the gurus, call upon Buddha, call upon Muhammad. But they have a faith in that. They call upon that to bolster them up. And some people might say, well, and I know some people say that, oh, that's not the way. But I found it was the way for me. Many times when things didn't work out the way I wanted them to, I was able to find strength. I was able to get direction. I was able to find peace, you might want to say, in the need to be flexible and change direction or move 2 steps to the right or move back past the center, because we tend to want things to remain the same. Sameness brings comfort for many of us. There's the odd person that likes chaos. I personally don't like too much chaos. But it's like knowing that as long as you have a sense of flexibility to be able to move and be able to create and do those things, you will find that life is a lot easier. So the thought today is, how flexible am I? Am I flexible with what happens? Do I make adjustments easily? Do I have faith? Do I have an understanding and a direction of where I want to go? I trust each one of you will be flexible and be aware that there's always an alternative, or there's always a way, even when it looks like it's all dark and there's nowhere to turn. There is always something that will come on and that will bring about awareness. So good luck on the flexibility. Enjoy. Have a great week. I'll be back on Wednesday.